In case you haven't noticed, I'm not the type of person who likes to sit idly by and watch primaries in different states, even though they may not be my own state, continue. So I want to, I want to endorse a new candidate in this video and also discuss a couple of existing endorsements that I already made. I want to begin, first of all, by saying that I do support Marco Rubio to be the next senator from the state of Florida. Rubio is an advocate for tax reform, entitlement reform, and I think he will be an advocate for border security as well. And I want to also note that Charlie Crist right now is considering running as an independent in the state of Florida. Folks, I love Florida. I don't live in Florida. I may someday. Florida's a great state. It's palm trees. There's a lot of culture, the mixing of cultures. It truly is a great state. But Charlie Crist, I think, is trying to play the people of Florida in a way. He's trying to fool them. He said in a debate with Fox News that he would be running the Republican primary, but now admits that he's considering running as independent because of his really landslide trail in the polls behind former Florida House Speaker Marco Rubio. And Crist has this kind of record of he sort of he doesn't stick to what he says. Now, I don't have a problem with the politician switching a position every so often, at least on domestic issues, but I like it if they are at least honest about their switch. Charlie Crist is being dishonest. The reason I don't trust Charlie Crist is because, frankly, he said just 2 weeks ago he'd be running as a Republican. Now he says he may run as an independent. You know, I realize there are plenty of politicians that flip-flop on issues. But the difference is that, generally speaking, their positions evolve as opposed to it being being a 2-week difference. I'll give you an example. Ronald Reagan was once pro-choice, and then when he ran for president, was pro-life. By the time he ran for president, become pro-life. Mitt Romney was pro-choice up until 2004, and then changed his position when a specific issue came to his desk in Massachusetts. Now, in this situation, you have somebody who said no matter what, they're running the Republican primary just 2 weeks ago. And then when polls come out that show them way down, they change their position, say, I may run as an independent. But Charlie Crist isn't only trying to fool the voters, he's trying to be intellectually dishonest. He said that he supported the president's $787 billion stimulus, which, as you know, was really created what I like to call government-run economics, which created very few private sector jobs and cost taxpayers a lot of money. Charlie Crist supported that stimulus. And in that same debate I referred to, Crist said the main issue would be trust. I agree. Who do you trust more? Somebody who would vote to spend $787 billion on government-run economics, or somebody who would vote for meaningful tax reform to try to solve economic problems? That's the difference. That's the choice Florida voters are going to have between Charlie Crist, the moderate, and Marco Rubio, the conservative. Now, I don't always not support the moderate candidate. I, generally speaking, do support the conservative candidate, but there are some exceptions to that rule. And one of the exceptions to that rule is Senator John McCain in Arizona. McCain, I recognize all of McCain's faults. I recognize that he is a moderate. He is not a conservative. In fact, honestly, to be quite frank, I think he's more of an independent than he is part of either party. He really, if you look at his positions on different issues, he's independent. He kind of just goes his own way. It doesn't matter where the Democrats or Republicans stand. But he's more of a Republican than he's a Democrat. That's why that's why I had no problem with him being the nominee of the party last year, or 2 years ago rather, and that's why I have no problem with him being reelected in Arizona. You give me a moderate like Charlie Crist or even Lindsey Graham, and I'm going to say, well, we probably should get somebody more conservative. But where Senator McCain stands, it's just that his record of accomplishment on national security and his recent votes against the Obama stimulus and the Obama healthcare plan. I think he is where the country stands on those issues, and I think that's why he should be reelected. Now, the point I'm trying to get at is, look, I support him because of I think he has the right judgment on national security. I don't think he's going to vote to raise your taxes or increase our debt. He hasn't really voted to do so in the past. Certainly, I don't like all of his votes. You could go on to other issues like cap and trade in the past that he's changed positions, or his position on the Bush tax cuts at first, his opposition to the constitutional ban, the constitutional amendment protecting marriage. These are all issues where I disagree with him, but I also agree with him on Iraq, on spending, on health care, on tort reform, on middle class tax cuts. These are all areas where I do agree with him. The point I'm trying to make, though, folks, is J.D. Hayworth could could be attacking McCain all he wants, but it's not going to make up for the fact that I have a couple questions about Hayworth. First of all, where was Hayworth in leadership on Iraq? McCain showed leadership in Iraq. Where was Hayworth? When McCain held hearings about Abramoff, who was the top congressman that was getting money from Abramoff? That was J.D. Hayworth. And while McCain was trying to solve economic issues, where was Hayworth? He was talking about the president's birth country instead of attacking the president's economic policies. So I'd rather have another person in the Senate who's going to fight for what he or she believes is right than somebody who's just going to be a typical Washington politician like J.D. Hayworth. And I don't really see how, based on his fundraising from Abramoff, the fact that he started his own political action committee to get money for his wife, I don't see how you can lead if you're out for your self-interest. Hayworth is not a leader. He doesn't understand the national security issues that face this country today, as well as John McCain. I'm sure he does to an extent. And that brings me to my next topic. The race in Kentucky. I'm supporting the conservative candidate, Trey Grayson, over the liberal Rand Paul. And there are a lot of you who say that Rand Paul is the better candidate. Grayson is not. Grayson picked up the endorsement of Mayor Giuliani this week. I think he picked up the endorsement of Governor Romney. No, I'm sorry. I don't know about Governor Romney. He might have. I know Mayor Giuliani endorsed Trey Grayson this week. But here's the thing that I don't understand about Rand Paul, and this is what makes Rand Paul a liberal, at least on foreign policy. I don't understand how you could lead this country, or try to lead this country, when you look at the facts and say, the United States hasn't been attacked since 9/11. George Bush put in place the Patriot Act, Department of Homeland Security, and Bush increased, wiretapping, the surveillance program. I don't see how you can defend this country if you don't realize what has kept us safe the past 8 years. You want to undo all the progress that's been made. It doesn't make much sense. How could you lead when you lack the understanding of what has made us safe here at home and abroad? Rand Paul believes that we should apologize for this country, that we should get out of Iraq and Afghanistan, even though we made those people free. Okay, we liberated 50 million people in Iraq. We are securing Afghanistan right now. We are supporting Israel as an ally because it benefits us and them. We need a functioning democracy in the Middle East. Did none of you listen to President Bush's statements during his terms in the White House? Freedom and fear at war, the axis of evil. None of you heard that, those of you supporting Rand Paul.